They chasing the fame, but they ain't got what's running through these veins. Make way for the king. Make way for the kingdom. King me, checkmate, then repeat. This chess, not checkers. What can I say? I got goat genes. Real kings do king things. Live like it's running through these veins. Make way for the king.
All right, first of all, I appreciate y'all being here. I don't know where the fuck the rest of the people are at, but we'll make fun of them later for missing out what we're about to do, all right? So I'm gonna need you guys for the next 45 minutes to play all in. Can I get your agreement with that? I'm gonna ask y'all to do some weird shit. Okay, but trust me, everything I do is very intentional. I have a purpose here. Can I count on your support? Right? I feel like Bernie Sanders up here asking that. Can I count on your support? Right? Not financially. I'm not here to sell anything. I legitimately don't have anything to sell you. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of stuff today that'll help your life, and then I'm going to give you some free shit at the end, like give you some books, things like that. But what I'm about to ask of you guys, if you don't do it, I ain't gonna give you shit at the end of this, all right? So if you don't play with me, I'm not gonna play with you. So do this right now. Everybody stand up. I know that everybody's tired and full of food, but everybody stand up. For the next 5 minutes, I'm going to hypnotize you into seeing a vision that you've never seen in your life before. I've been trained by the best hypnotist on the entire planet, a gentleman named Marshall Silver, and I'm going to walk you through a visualization that will blow your mind, change your life, and some of y'all are going to be crying like little bitches when I get done, but that's fine. It's happened to me too. It's happened to some of the toughest people. When I spoke to the UFC not too long ago, they were crying, some of the guys in the room too, so it's okay. I'm gonna take you on an emotional roller coaster over the next 45 minutes where I'm gonna make you laugh, I'm gonna make you cry, probably make you laugh a little bit more, but we're gonna start this off the right way, okay? So here's what I need. I need you to put a little bit of space in between you and the person next to you. And I need you to listen to every word that I say. I'm gonna be very intentional. I'm gonna show you something that you've never seen before that's absolutely gonna change your life. But I need you to listen to every command that I'm about to give you. I'm gonna help you. This is for your benefit, not mine. I've done this plenty of times, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna ask is that everybody close your eyes. You're 100% safe in here. Nobody's gonna touch you. Nobody's gonna molest you. Nobody's gonna hurt you. Nobody's gonna come around and do anything weird. Just keep your eyes closed until I ask you to open them. Do not open your eyes again for the next 5 minutes. Again, you guys told me that you were going to play all in, so I need you to play all in right now. Don't be scared. Don't worry. I need you to keep your eyes absolutely closed. Now, while your eyes are closed, do not open them until I tell you. While your eyes are closed, I want you to take your head and turn it over to your right shoulder as if you're looking at somebody standing next to you. And again, keep your eyes closed. Do not open them. What I want you to do is you look over your right shoulder. I'm going to do this exercise with you. And so as you look over your right shoulder with your eyes closed, I want you to visualize the most elite version of yourself standing next to you. If you were the most elite version of yourself, financially, physically, mentally, and had wonderful people in your life, what would that person look like? Think about it. Let's start at the feet. What would your feet look like? What would your calves look like? Would they be muscles? Would they be shaved? Would they be hairy? Think about your abs. Would you have abs or would you have a stomach? What would your chest look like? What would your biceps look like? What would your beard look like? Ladies, hopefully you don't have a beard. What would your beard look like? Shave, clean shave, unshaved? What would your hair look like? If you were the most elite version of yourself, imagine what you would look like standing naked next to yourself right now. Now let's put some clothes on you. What kind of shoes would you wear? Imagine, like take deep into the back of your mind and imagine you being the most elite version of yourself. You've got all the money in the world, all the love in the world, and standing next to you is the most elite version of yourself. What kind of shoes are you wearing? What kind of pants are you wearing? What kind of clothes? What kind of shirt do you have on? Are you wearing a baseball cap? I want you to take a minute. I want you to imagine being the most elite version of yourself. Do you have broad shoulders? Are you thin? Are you big? Are you a weightlifter? Are you a runner? Okay, imagine that. Now here's what I want you to imagine. Imagine that person that's standing next to you, which is the greatest version of yourself. Imagine that person having an abundance of financial resources, all the money in the world. You have no worries, no anxiety. You don't miss out on a bill. You have perfect credit. Also, I want you to imagine what you must feel like if you were the most elite version of yourself in your relationships. You have a husband or a wife that absolutely adores you. You have children that love you. You have friends that don't have their hand out trying to get in your pocket on payday. You have people that are always trying to be a blessing to you. To put an example, before I got up here on stage, I had a Super Bowl champion pray over me so that I could deliver this message to you guys. Imagine having people like that in your life. Now also think about this. The people in your life adore you. You have an abundance of money. You're in peak physical shape. And you have a relentless mindset. Everything that's ever tried to come against you your entire life has failed. You're at the top of your game. You're at the apex. There is no stopping you. Imagine what that person looks like. Now I'm going to be quiet for about 30 seconds while you take all that in. Keep your eyes closed. Keep your head cocked over your right shoulder. Just think about that person for a minute. What they would look like. What they would feel like. How they would operate on a daily basis. Now, with every eyes closed, what I want you to do is I want you to take a step to your right and put your feet exactly where you visualized those feet just a second ago. Go ahead and do that right now. Keep your eyes closed. Turn your head towards me with your eyes closed. And now open your eyes. You see, that's who God, the divine coder, the creator of this universe, that vision that you just had is who you're supposed to be. Let's all agree we got a little work to do, right? Let's get to work. Young, have a seat. Thank you very much. Give yourself a round of applause. So here's what I know. The reason why you're not that person is because there's this invisible algorithm on the planet called the force of average. Here's what happens to us. We have a great month financially. We make a shitload of money selling roofs, selling construction, and then the next month we have a terrible month. We struggle financially. We spend the whole month worried about our bills and everything else. Right? Sometimes we find the love of our life, and in my case, only to cheat on her with her fat best friend, right? Shit happens, okay? Right? Y'all laughing because y'all been there. The ones that aren't laughing are like, oh shit, am I the fat friend? Right? Seriously. Okay? I told you I'm gonna make you cry and laugh. I promise you, right? Hopefully I've delivered on both of those so far. But the force of average, it's the algorithm that runs this planet. See, Newton, who didn't have the information that we have, thanks to the internet, YouTube, and everything else, he said for every action there is an equal and opposite. Hey, we got smart people in the room. Sometimes the room's totally quiet, and I'm like, oh shit, there's a bunch of dumb people in here. All right? The force of average has one weapon, and one weapon only. It's distraction. It's designed to distract you. See, when you had the greatest month of your career financially, what happened is you were focused and you were in the zone. Right? What happened was you focused on going and knocking those doors. You focused on going and making those cold calls. You focused on what needed to be happen. And then all of a sudden, when you got that paycheck, when you got that money, you said, oh, hey, this is good enough. Well, I can tell you for a fact, good will steal from great every damn time. Good will steal from great every damn time. For those of you that take notes, you need to write that down. You ask people on a daily basis, you say, how's things going? They say, good, right? Hey, man, how you doing right now? I'm fine. Who the fuck wants to be good and fine? That's not we were put here. Was that person that you saw standing next to you good and fine? Hell no, they were great and elite. Unless you got bad imagination skills, which we can work on that through this too. But the force of average distracts you. It tells you that there's been enough. And it's a weapon that's been against us since we were young. You see, human beings, we form how we think between the ages of 3 and 7. I was raised on a horse farm when I was a young man. And I actually left the horse farm when I was 7 years old. And a horse, when it's a colt, which is, for those of you that don't have horses, is a baby horse, you can tie it to a post, and it will pull against the post and jerk and buck and everything else to try to get that post away, but there's nothing it can do. The halter holds it in place. Meanwhile, later when that horse grows up into this giant 2,500-pound animal, or whatever the fuck a horse weighs, all of a sudden, you can just throw the reins over the rope, over the pole, and it doesn't even try to pull against them. You see, when we were young, our teachers told us we couldn't sit still in class. How many of you had that problem? Right? Those of you that ain't raising your hand, congratulations, right? How many of you that your parents told you that you're not acting right, you don't think right, you need to calm down, you need to be still, you can't focus? Like when we were young, all these thoughts were planted in our brain and we start to believe them. And the only way that you change your thinking outside of 7 years old is if you have a life-altering experience. A life-altering experience would be divorce, incarceration, a near-death experience, a health scare, a bankruptcy, something that makes you have to change the way that you think. See, some of you are sitting in this room right now and you still think like a 7-year-old. I got a 7 and an 8-year-old. Trust me, they don't know shit. But the force of average starts on you real early, and it attacks you with distraction your entire life. How many of you feel like you've fallen victim to the force of average a few times? You're not alone. You're not alone. I've fallen victim to it probably 10 times more than all of y'all. That's how I came up with this, right? I got this from experience. And so we know that if the force of average is against us every day with distractions, we have to understand that our weapon, because if you're going to go to war at something, which it's at war with you, it's at war to keep you average. Think about like homeless people on the streets, right? They got a pretty easy life. People hand them money. They don't have to work for it. They get to sleep wherever the fuck they want, right? Like, it's pretty easy to be average. You can go make, anybody can go make a $20,000, $40,000 a year job. That's pretty easy to be average. But when you try to step away and you try to be great, what happens? Like, the force of average tries to pull you down. But see, we have a superpower to fight that distraction within us. It's called focus. And it's the very thing that we start getting told at a young age that we don't have. You can't focus. You can't pay attention. Because the force of average knows that if it attacks you when you're young, that's when you're at your weakest. And so today, I'm going to help you focus on the areas and focus on the right things. I'm up here to give you strategy and tactics and help you to be able to beat the force of average. You see, in my life, I have pretty much had every fuck up you could imagine. I told you I grew up on a horse farm until I was about 7 years old. At 7 years old, my family lost everything, and my birth father split, and I ain't seen him but about 2 more times my entire life since then. My mother remarried. That guy adopted me. And his answer for everything was violence. I ran away from home when I was about 15 years old and didn't go back. Coincidentally, I quit school at the same time. The first business opportunity that I had wasn't knocking doors and making money selling construction and roofing. It was selling drugs. I wasn't as good as that as I am as a public speaker, and so I ended up in prison. When I went to prison the second time, I was married, I got a divorce, I walked in a millionaire, I walked out 15 months later with $25 in my name. I walked in a millionaire, top of my game, greatness, 25 years old, and I left with $25 to my name because the force of average took a chokehold on me, right? I've experienced all this stuff, and I'm about to share with you how I got to where I got today, which doesn't matter where I'm at today, just know it's good. But how I got to where I got today by focusing on the right things. You see, nobody ever taught me this stuff, and now it doesn't matter, it's not too late. Now you have an opportunity to implement this shit in your life to be able to get every single thing you've ever wanted. Now I'm married, I have the woman of my dreams, literally the woman of my dreams. I have 3 sons that are in private school. Their biggest problem right now is, am I gonna pick them up from school in the Rolls Royce or the Lamborghini? I live in a beautiful house in Frisco, Texas, which is an amazing city. I have friends that are professional athletes, sports stars, 100 millionaires, and more. I share my story on stages like this all over the world. I have clients on every single continent that there is. And I don't say that to brag, but I say that to let you know that I beat the shit out of the force of average, and that's what I want for everybody in here too. All right? Thank you. So it starts with understanding what the 4 areas of life that we have to focus on. We call this the GCode. Okay, I grew up East Dallas, rough area. Like I said, did a little time in prison. And the G-code was the thing that we operated on the streets by. You sold drugs, you did crazy shit, you lived by the G-code. When I wrote this book last year, I finished it. It took me about 18 months to write it. It's the #1 bestseller on Amazon right now with the orange ribbon, not that bullshit I was there for an hour stuff. It's been #1 for 3 weeks with an orange ribbon and everything. When I wrote the G-code, I thought, man, I wonder if anybody's ever trademarked this. Turns out no gangsters ever thought of trademarking the G-code. So now I officially own the G-code, right? So I literally switched up and rewrote the game on them. But so the first thing, G1, is having a grateful mindset, okay? Listen, you'll hear people tell you that you need this work-life balance. I'm here to tell you that's a bunch of bullshit. How the fuck are you gonna balance your work and life? We gotta work 8 to 10 hours a day. We probably got to drive an hour each way to work, or let's just say an hour altogether. We got to take a lunch break. We got shit to do after work. How the fuck are we going to balance that out? There's no mathematical way to have a work-life balance. It's bullshit. That's a distraction from the force of average. The real balance in life is being grateful for what you have right now while in pursuit of what you want to be. Being grateful for who you are right now while being in pursuit of that image that you visualized earlier when we went through that exercise. That's the real balance you're looking for, because guess what? If you're too happy with who you are right now, good will steal from you every time. You'll be good enough, right? But if you're too worried about where you're gonna go next, you won't be happy for where you are right now, and it won't matter what you get next, it won't make you happy either. That's why we hear phrases like money doesn't buy you happiness. For most of my life, I chased money. I chased money selling drugs. I chased money in the mortgage business. I chased money in the internet marketing business. And I thought, man, if I just become a millionaire, if I just make a few million more, I'll eventually be happy. This shit never happened because I wasn't ever happy with who I was. So the first part of the G code, and I'm gonna give you strategy and tactic that you need to do every single day, and then I'm gonna give you some software that's 100% free at the end of this. There's no gimmicks, there's no upsells, there's no free plus shipping bullshit, you know, none of that stuff. I'm gonna give you something that's absolutely free that will help you benefit your life. But the first thing that you need to do every single morning when you wake up is write down 5 things that you're grateful for. Now here's what I'm about to tell you, and I know some people in the room are gonna fall victim to the force of average behind this. I'm gonna tell you some real simple shit. I'm not the world's greatest salesperson. I'm not the best internet marketer. I'm definitely not the best public speaker. My big talent, the greatest talent that I have, is taking super complex shit and making it real simple. But the force of average, what it does is it makes you go, well, this is too simple, it can't be that easy. You guys with me on that? So I already know some of y'all, when I'm about to say what I'm gonna say, you're gonna go, that can't be how it works, that's too easy. Listen, there's only 10 numbers and 7 colors. All the rest of that bullshit we see is combinations of those things that we humans complicated. God put 10 numbers and 7 colors on this earth. We complicated everything else. So you wake up first thing in the morning and you write down 5 things you're grateful for. Here's why. Because most people will wake up in the morning and they'll say, well, I'm not a morning person, or I need my coffee first. Or you wake up and you check your phone and it's an email. Listen, no good emails come in after midnight, right? Like the insurance company be waiting until 12:01 to mail you and be like, your supplement didn't come through, right? Because they know you're asleep. And then they wake up, you check your phone, fucks your whole morning up, right? So we're gonna combat that. That's force of average act. I know y'all laughing because plenty of y'all have got those 12:01 emails in here, right? We're gonna combat that. That's the force of average trying to distract you from being the greatest version of yourself. And so if you wake up first thing in the morning and you just take a couple of minutes to be grateful for something that's in your life, for who you are, for who you're with. One of the things that I write down damn near every day, I think my wife is absolutely beautiful. She was raised here in Scottsdale, and she's absolutely beautiful. One of the first things I do every morning when I wake up, I write down 5 things I'm grateful for. She's one of them. Then I touch her butt, because that's what we do as husbands, right? But first thing in the morning, I want to make sure that I'm setting my thinking up right before the force of average comes against me, before I get those 12:01 emails, before my employees call in sick, before I find out that something's been canceled. Today, this morning, after I wrote down my 5 things I was grateful for, I checked my email about 20 minutes later because I like to put a little time buffer in between that. And an event that I was supposed to speak at next month in Vegas was canceled, right? And I hadn't got paid for that yet. I was kind of counting on that money. You know, that's some shit that would normally fuck my day up. But I'm focused on being grateful first thing in the morning, so I was just happy to be in my bed and have done the things that I did the night before. Last night I spent the evening in Mark Cuban's suite at the Stars game. I didn't watch the game. I hung out with a bunch of wealthy bankers. Mark wasn't there, unfortunately, but several NBA players was, so it was a good time, good atmosphere for me to hang out. So I got to wake up this morning and be thankful for that, right? I'm not really good at the PowerPoints. I think this is the first time I've ever had a PowerPoint presentation. I thought I'd come up here and be all fancy, and I've already fucked it up twice, so forgive me for that. So the second G stands for genetics. See, many of y'all, you go out, you make a bunch of money, and you let your health fall apart. I have a personal mentor of mine, a guy that I adore and love so much, and he's actually my ex-father-in-law. That's the kind of relationship person I am. You'll learn about that here in a minute. Some people are in your life for a reason, some for a season, and some for a lifetime. And I'm really good friends, and like the closest thing to a dad I've ever had is my ex-father-in-law. Still to this day, he's 77 years old. For 37 years, he was the CEO of Children's Miracle Network and Children's Hospital in Dallas, Texas. So he's a very powerful man. A wonderful man. Literally, if we were to stand him and Jesus Christ up on this stage together, they'd have to battle about who's had a better and more clean life. I kid you not, dude's never had a drink of alcohol. He's never used the cuss word itself for once when he told me to fuck off when he was 72 years old. And we actually ran into each other the next day at a soccer game, and I said, man, I probably added 10 years to your life because you know I don't give a shit what you say to me, and you've probably been needing to say that shit for 70 years, right? But the thing that he told me about 5 years ago was the biggest mistake that he made in his life was at 55 years old, he decided that he didn't have to work out anymore. He had worked out his whole life, he'd been an athlete, and one day he decided that, you know what, I've worked out for 40 years of my life, I'm not gonna do it anymore. And now he struggles, man. He was just in the hospital a couple of weeks ago and I had to go in there and pray over him. And I had to go in there and encourage him because he's having heart conditions and life's not been easy these last 10 years for him. I have a doctor friend, one of my best friends, Matt Chalmers in Frisco, Texas, Dr. Chalmers. He makes millions of dollars a year because people like you don't take care of your health, and you make millions of dollars when you sell your construction company, and then you got to go pay him hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to fix your shit because you neglected your health your whole life. So genetics is huge. If you're going to be the most elite version of yourself, probably you didn't see an out-of-shape person standing next to you. You probably saw somebody who was in good shape. God didn't call us to be out of shape here. And I'm not bashing people that are out of shape. Hopefully I can encourage you to start working towards this, okay? That one step that you took into becoming the elite version of yourself, these are those steps. It doesn't happen overnight. You're not gonna lose a bunch of weight overnight. You're not gonna look like Tony overnight. That shit took a long time for him to be that big, right? And so exercise daily, running, swimming, weights, biking, whatever you're into. Shit, even if you just go walk for 10 minutes a day. As long as you're doing something, you're burning calories. You see, we weren't designed as human beings to sit behind a desk for 10 hours a day. That's not what we're put here for. We weren't designed to sit down every chance that we got. Matter of fact, we weren't even designed to put shoes and clothes on. That's some shit that we complicated in this system. Thank God, because I don't want to be up here in front of you guys naked. But here's the thing. You got to start taking action and doing something to burn calories. It's a real simple equation. Calories consumed minus calories burned equals calories retained. You want to figure out how you lose weight? You have more that you burn than you consume. Okay? It's real simple. The second part of your genetics is your diet. Did you know that if you will just eliminate 300 calories a day from your diet, that's like a handful of French fries or 2 Cokes. That's it. You can switch to Coke Zero and still have your 2 Cokes. You can still eat a medium fry instead of a large fry. But if you'll just eliminate 300 calories a day from your diet, that's the equivalent at the end of the year as if you were on a treadmill at 5 miles an hour for 160 hours. It's real simple. We don't have to go full-blown keto or do some CrossFit bullshit, right? You don't have to do all that. You don't have to starve to death, right? But what you have to do is you have to just have portion control. Okay, those things are great, and I'm not knocking them. But again, we can't all look like Tony and have his discipline when it comes to that shit. And so what we've got to do is we got to just eliminate a few things. Listen, if you walk for 30 minutes a day and have 300 less calories, guess what? That's like 280 hours a year that you would have spent on a treadmill. When's the last time some of y'all spent 280 hours in a year on a treadmill? I'm just telling you. The next thing is the grind. Now this is where most people are focused. They're focused on their job. The grind is your daily grind, the job that you got to do. Most of us in this room, we came here so that we could focus on our grind. We came here because it's our job that's important. You surely didn't come here to listen to me try to tell you how to get your act together. You're like, damn it, where'd this guy come from? I'm going back to the bar. I'm with you. Just I promise it'll be all right in the end. But here's the thing. If you don't start controlling your time, time will control you. We hear people all the time say shit like, I'm busy. Oh, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. Like, what you just busy being busy. You're not busy really making any money. You're not busy really making any progress. We have a saying in my office, 48/7. I can do 2 days worth of work in 1 day, 7 days a week. That's why I've been able to outwork everybody else. I've already written almost 4,000 blog posts in the last 10 years. I've recorded over 5,000 videos in the last 10 years. I've written for Forbes, Entrepreneur. I'm featured in Forbes 3 or 4 times a month. I don't think they know I'm a convicted felon. Y'all don't tell them, please. But the reason why I'm able to do this shit is because I focus. When I'm in the office, I'm not there to fuck around. I can come in the office for 4 or 5 hours and get done what most people can't do in a week because I'm very detailed and scheduled. Everything I do, notice I showed up right here at 2 o'clock. Everything that I do is on a time block. When I look down at my phone, I keep everything in my Google Calendar on my phone. When I look down at my phone, see, I know exactly what I'm going to do for the day, and I'm on a time crunch against the time frame on that phone, on that scheduler, to make sure that it gets done. See, here's the problem. A lot of you in the room are entrepreneurs. You're salespeople, which means that you don't have a manager, you don't have a boss, you don't have somebody micromanaging you, telling you what to do. You don't have somebody that holds you accountable. So you oftentimes just say, you know what? It's good enough. I'm going to go home for the day. You know what? I made 1 sale today. That's enough. It's not, man. Good will steal from great every single time. But when you get focused and you start using a calendar like what I'm talking about, then guess what? That calendar is your boss. That calendar is the thing that holds you accountable, because at the end of the day, you look on the calendar and you say that you didn't get the work done. You have nobody to blame but you, because the time was blocked out for it. I've lived and died by my calendar for the last, I went back to my spirals before the internet was a big thing and we could use it since 2006. Before that, I kept big old school notebook spirals, and I still have the notebooks of them. If it wasn't, I just got audited by the IRS, right? Like I had a big jump in income, and the IRS, you know, they fucking put their nose in your business. If you haven't gotten one yet, wait till you make enough money, they'll come after you. And the IRS wanted to know where I was for all my meal logs from like 2016. Well, fuck, dude, I've moved like 5 times since then, so hell, I don't know where the hell the files were. But since I've been so very diligent about my time, I was able to go back in my calendar and see every single meeting that I've had for the last 8 years that I've been using Google Calendar, and it was easy to put together a log that explained what I'd done with my time, because every single thing that I've done is tracked. Now, listen, I just want to be clear on this. I originally started this in case the FBI put their fucking nose in my business again. I wanted to be able to tell them every little detail of where I'd been. Turns out it actually helped me stay focused really well. The next thing is you want to make every minute that you're in the office count, because every minute that you're in the office, you're away from people that you love. You're away from your husband or wife. You're away from your kids. You're away from your friends. You know, we have a saying in our church, and yes, I'm one of those guys that cusses and goes to church. It's just that, you know, if you can show me where the Bible says don't say fuck, that I'll quit saying it. You know, Jesus would say things like, verily, verily, I say to you. You know, nowadays slang is like, listen up, motherfuckers, right? That's just the same shit. So for me, I got to make every moment count. Some of y'all took a minute, but I'm with you. I got to make every moment count because I love my wife and I love my kids and I have a family of choice. In our church, again, we say family of choice versus family of origin. I don't have a family of origin. I haven't seen the people that gave birth to me, my grandparents, any of those people in about a decade. They told me that if I started telling my story on stages like this and writing books, that they wouldn't be a part of my family anymore. And I'm like, shit, y'all gonna miss me. But the thing is, if I'm away from my family of choice, the people that I've chosen in my life, my wife, I chose to bring my kids into this world. I chose to have a relationship with my ex-father-in-law. I've chosen the friendships that I have. I got to make every moment at work count, because as soon as I'm done with my work, I can go back to the things that I enjoy in life. The next thing on your grind is the 3 things that matter when it comes to your grind. And that is the companies that you either work for or own. These are the things that you got to focus on every single day. The companies, what's best for the companies that you work for or own. See, there's 4 levels to life, and Kiyosaki, who was nice enough to open up for me, he didn't like that shit when I said that backstage, right? I don't know if he didn't get the joke or he just wasn't hearing it, but I was like, oh, hey, I think I'm opening up for you. And he's like, his handler was like, no, he's on next. It's like, oh, looks like you're opening up for me. I don't think he's a fan. I don't think he's a fan. I was trying to be funny. Sometimes the shit doesn't work the way I want it to. But anyway, he calls it the quadrant, but there's really 4 levels we're living on, right? We're either an employee / salesperson, we're self-employed, we're a CEO, or we're an investor. Right? An investor is somebody who has CEOs working for them. We're all trying to get to level 4. That's the top of that game. We're trying to have other people working for us, because in my business, we have 21 rules of money. And rule number 21 is spend your time making money until you can spend your money earning time back, right? And so we're all trying to get to that level where we got people working for us and we have to spend less time in the office so we can do what the fuck we want, right? But so many of y'all, when you're salespeople, you get to be selfish, right? Because somebody else is writing your check. Right? When you're an employee, you get to be selfish because it's about you. Somebody else is writing a check. When you're self-employed and you don't have people that are working for you, it's all about you again. You get paid first. When you get to level 3 and you become a CEO like what I am right now, I got to put everybody else first. If I'm going to grow my business, if I'm going to do the things that's needed, I might have to take a step back in my salary. I might have to take a step back in the things that I want to do in order to make sure that the people that work for me, if we have a bad month, I still got to make payroll. Guess who's going to get paid last? That's me. And I know a lot of people don't subscribe to that, but when you're a CEO, you have something to think about. You have to think about the corporation that you run and not just necessarily yourself. The next thing is you have to think about the employees and the people that work for you, right? So you focus on the companies that you own or work for, and then you're focused on the people that either work for you or the people that you work for. That's important because if you have a bad culture in your business, it's only going to get worse as you add more people. There's a book by a gentleman named Ben Horowitz called Who You Are Is What, or What You Do Is Who You Are. is a great book. If you guys want to, if those of you that are leaders, managers, supervisors, business owners, if you haven't read that book, you need to read it because it'll teach you how to build a true culture. It talks about the cultures of Amazon, the cultures of Apple, the culture of Goldman Sachs, even cultures built in prison and religious organizations and how they were able to do it. I spoke at Linear Roofing a few months ago. Actually, it was a few weeks ago. These guys right here in the front, they have an amazing culture in their business. Like I've spoken in front of a lot of roofing and contracting companies, and I've never seen one that has a culture like these guys do. Everybody there has a clear mission, and they know exactly what they're doing, and they're all on that mission because they built that culture. Kurt's got it figured out. He knows how to do that stuff. Tony's got it figured out. He knows how to do that stuff. We have to focus on the people that we work for, and we work with to show them that they matter to us, or we won't matter to them. And the last part, and arguably the most important part of your grind, is focus on your clients. It's easy to sell some shit. I know a bunch of badass salespeople that can't deliver what they say for nothing. You know, we all know guys that overpromise and underdeliver. Those businesses don't last long because you piss your clients off. The cheapest lead that you can get, the cheapest customer that you can get, the easiest way to acquire a lead is by doing exactly what you said you were going to do or more and getting a referral from that customer. Some of you guys that knock doors, you know that the secret is to deliver to the house number one and then ask them if they'll introduce you to the neighbors, or ask them if they'll walk next door and introduce you to the neighbors. But you know that if you screw up their house, they ain't gonna wanna introduce you to nobody else because they didn't like the way it feels. They didn't like the process. So we gotta be able to focus on our clients. I own a software company called Phone Sites where you can make sales funnels, lead capture pages, and all that shit like super easy from a mobile device without an app or any of that stuff, or even without technical skills. And in the software business, they call it SaaS, Software as a Service, right? Probably most of you have heard that. Well, I decided to reframe the game for our culture and our business, and we call it service and a software. We want people to come not only use our stuff, but become raving fans of what we have. So while every other software company out there will charge you an arm and a leg, and I'm not trying to plug my software, although it is awesome and you should buy it, every other company out there will have you buy some software and then you're on your own, right? When you log into Facebook, you log into Google. I've spent millions of dollars in ads with Facebook. I don't know a motherfucker that works there besides Mark Zuckerberg, and I can't get in touch with him. I've tried. I've tweeted him. I've sent him an email, mark@facebook.com. He won't hit me back. And so I don't know if that's his email, but seem legit for me anyway. And, or maybe Zuck at Facebook. Maybe I should try that one. Anyway, but the key is for us, every single person that signs up for a free trial, we get on the phone with them and walk them through how to use our software, answer all their questions, and then provide 24-hour support for them, because the second cheapest customer that you can have is the one that stays on forever. We have a 78% stick rate. People that come in and actually make it past the free trial period stay with us forever because we deliver over and above service, and they enjoy the experience and they don't want to leave because now they know how to use the very thing that we sold to them. Some of y'all need to be thinking about that in your businesses, how you can deliver an over and above experience to where they're not only raving fans that every time they need a roof, every time they need a remodel, they don't even call anybody else. They don't price shop. They don't do none of that shit. They go to you because you're the person that delivers every time. Those are the things that you got to focus on every day. The last part of the G code is the group of people that you're around. I have a friend of mine that's a pastor in Frisco, Texas. His name's Keith Kraft. If you want to follow him on Instagram, he's one of the old power team guys, right? So he like rips up phone books and blows up water bottles till they pop and all that cool shit. He's real strong, can bench press 600 pounds even at 60 years old. An amazing guy. One of the things that he always says is your alignments take precedence over your assignment, meaning who you do life with will dictate what you do in life. You see, many of us, we're trying to find our purpose, but when you get around the right people at the right time, at the right place, your purpose comes into play. You find who you're supposed to be. Look, if you got the right people in your life, they're not going to let you have a shitty job. They're not going to let you underperform. I hang out with, like I said, millionaires and celebrities that are on TV and athletes that are on TV and everything else. Those people aren't going to let me slip. If they start seeing me slip in public, they started seeing me be a terrible drunk or get on drugs or some shit like that, they're going to call me out. And most of them can honestly kick my ass, so I'm going to listen to them. I put myself in that position for a reason. And some of you might be saying, well, I don't know celebrities, and I don't know, people on TV, and I don't know super rich people that can hold me accountable like that. Shit, neither did I. I grew up as a poor kid in East Dallas, right? That shit's still poor. It's poorer today than it was when I grew up there. And the distractions, my ADD's kicking in. Then, but here's the thing. I worked towards making relationships with them online, just commenting on their shit on Facebook, sending them DMs, just engaging with these people. And over the years, they had no choice but to like say, you know what, dude, you've talked to me and you've liked my posts so many times, we should get on the phone, right? That's what you do. You reach out to the people. You always want to be friending up. See, a lot of y'all like to go make $100,000 in a year or $500,000 in a year, and then you like to go back to your little shitty friends from high school in the fucking neighborhood you grew up. You're like, look at my dick, man, I'm making $500,000, right? And try to make them feel bad and shit. I like to walk into the room and be the smallest dick in the room, right? Hopefully not in this room, but you know what I'm saying. And so I like to walk in the room and be the person that doesn't have the biggest pocketbook, be the person that's not in the best shape, because then that causes me to have to stretch my identity. It causes me to have to see what that next level looks like. It causes me to be able to ask questions, not how can I borrow money from you or how can we be in business together, but like, how did you do what you did so that I can model that, so that I can push myself the way that you have, right? And so the group of people that you're around is huge. And many of you keep ties with people like I just told you earlier. I don't talk to my family of origin anymore, right? They were trying to keep me small. They were trying, like, people like to see you be successful, just not really more successful than them. Or they don't like to see you become so successful that they can't align with that either. You got to move away from those people, right? They're either growing with you or they're going away. And I don't say that to be callous and shit like that. I just say that because it's the truth. Many of you are living in one-sided relationships with people who aren't returning the favors that you're doing for them, and for some reason you become codependent on that shit and can't break away from it, and that's one of the tricks the force of average would distract you with, I promise you. With my wife, man, I've been divorced 3 times. Prison and drugs will do that shit to you, and the reason why I got divorced is because prior to figuring out this whole GCode thing, I focused only on 50% of the equation. Chasing the bag, the grind, trying to make money, and exercising. I figure as long as I have money and look good, all the rest of the shit will fall into place. As long as I feel good, look good, and have a little money, all the rest of the shit will fall into place. 3 divorces later, life-changing events, like I spoke about in the beginning, I'm like, fuck, I gotta get my shit together, right? I don't want to grow old and alone and be like that guy. I don't want to be like the creepy old man in the mall and shit. It's like, hey, is that your kid? Get the fuck away from him, right? I don't want to be that guy. And so I knew that I needed somebody to become a life partner with me. But I got abandonment issues. I got daddy issues. My dad left me when I was 7. I haven't seen him since, so I got some issues, right? It was easy for me to cut ties with people and shit like that. But I had to make a decision that if I do life with people, I got to do life with them. And so how am I going to be that added value for them? Not just like, here's some money, go buy a bag, I got to go back to work, right? How can I actually show up? And I told you that work-life balance is bullshit. I'm going to be on the road all next month. 3.5 weeks next month, I'll be on the road. I'll be at home a total of 6 days next month. And that's like 1 day to wash my underwear, change my bag out, and hit the road again, okay? That my kids and my wife know that I'm going to be on the road. So instead of trying to figure out how I can make 12 hours for my family and 12 hours for my job, I make sure that quality is bigger than the quantity of time. This weekend, I'll take my sons to Supercross at Cowboy Stadium in Dallas. And where somebody will finally win for a change, right? But so I'll take my kids to those that are Cowboy fans laugh. The rest are still trying to figure the shit out. Hey, I'm a Cowboy fan too, but that shit gets depressing sometimes a year. We'll just blame it on the force of average. I actually flew on the jet here with Anthony Kitchens, who plays for the Chiefs, just won the Super Bowl. Tank Lawrence, who is the defensive end, I think, and then I'm a terrible sports guy. Tyrone Crawford, who I think is the right tackle for the Cowboys. They're here in Scottsdale for a bachelor party. They're pretty cool guys. We got to sit next to them on the jet and bullshit on the way here. But I go out of my way for my friends and my wife with what I'm about to share with you. Every week, I go on a date night with my wife. Last night, she was with me at the Dallas Stars game, right? So it might only be 2 or 3 hours that we have the time to go out on a date, but we're not on our phones. We're not fighting. We're focused on each other. Shit, sometimes we even make out at the bar, and we've been together for 6 years and may not even be drunk, just like happy and kiss each other, because I want to make sure that I'm imparting time into her. Plus, that's how you get laid, gentlemen. Take notes. And so, especially for those who've been in long relationships, right? But she appreciates that. She knows that when I show up, I may not have a ton of time for her, but the time that I spend with her, it's important. Saturday, like I said, I'll take my boys to the Supercross thing. I'm not going to spend my entire night on the phone. I'm going to spend my time shopping with them for the hats of their favorite rider. I'm going to take them down in the pits. I actually have a hedge fund manager that has seats there in the stadium that are the exact same seats that Jerry Jones has, just on the opposite side. and it's got a parking pass where you pull up under the stadium and go through the locker rooms and all this shit. Like, it's full access to everything. I'm gonna make sure that my kids have an experience so that next month, while I'm out of town all month, they'll be like, hey man, where's your dad at? Man, he'll be here, because every time that he is here, he shows up and we have the greatest time ever. And they understand that, so they're not always wanting more. I don't go home and sit on the couch and surf my phone while my kids are next to me. I'm not like that. When I'm home, I'm 100% present. Every week for your friends, you need to have a meeting face-to-face with somebody. You need to go out of your way to have a meeting. It might be an employee, it might be a friend, it might be something like that, but you need to go out of your way to have a meeting with somebody. If you're not married, if you're single, if you're not in a relationship, get on Tinder, right? Go meet somebody. Go and get some human interaction. This keyboard, phone, digital age that we live in, that's not how we were designed, right? That's why you see people all the time on social media that'll talk shit, and then you meet them in real life like, hey, I'm a big fan, right? It's like, it changes how people really are. When you get out, y'all laugh because you know this shit's true, right? I always hang out with giants, and people think I'm a little guy, and they meet me in person like, fuck, you're a lot bigger than I thought you were, right? Like, take note, motherfucker. And so anyway, but I go out of my way to meet with somebody face to face. Last night I met with some new bankers and stuff like that, like I said in the suite. So I go out of my way to meet somebody new. I didn't know these guys. I was actually invited there by a guy that used to play for the Mavericks, and I got to make new friends that I'm gonna be able to have a relationship with. You also wanna make sure that you spend time with your coworkers, right? The people that are on your level, the top producer in the company, the guy that you're mentoring in the company, or the gal that you're mentoring in the company that's moving up the ranks. You wanna make sure that you spend some time and focus on them as well. And then lastly, you wanna focus on your mentor. If you don't have a mentor, you need one. It might be your boss, it might be your supervisor, it might be your dad, it might be somebody that you pay. You know, could be somebody awesome like Brad Lea over there with his closer school. That's somebody that you need, that's a mentor, right? That's what you've got to have. You've got to have, we all on 3 levels as human beings. If you're not dealing with all 3 of these levels, then you're missing out. You should be helping somebody get to where you're at. You should have a relationship with somebody that's on your level. And then you should have somebody that's the next level up from you that's helping you get to where they're at. If you're missing one of those 3 spots, you need to work on that. Oh, now it's all, I did the shit backwards. Now it all goes. I told you I'm not a PowerPoint expert. But so here's the thing, as I fuck PowerPoint up once more. I'm gonna challenge you guys, because my time's almost up here, and I'm gonna give you something absolutely free. When I say there's nothing for sale, there's no gimmicks, I'm not gonna email you, my team's not gonna call you. Like, I'm not gonna do any of that shit. I'm gonna give you something that'll change your life and help you out. It's absolutely free. It's called the 0 to 100 Challenge. You can go to gcode.phonesites.com. And you want to read the rules, and look, read the damn page. Don't DM me and go, hey, what's the code to log in? It's on the fucking page, people, all right? I'm just saying that because that always happens, right? But what'll happen is you can take our app that's absolutely free, and you get up to 4 points a day. You log in, you write 5 things that you're grateful for, you get a point. You log in, you check off that you stuck to a diet and you worked out that day, you get a point. You write down your wins for the day at work, you get a point. And then you write down a lesson for the day, or who you invested your time in for the day, you get another point. And then lastly, you can write down a lesson that you learned today, almost like a digital diary. I was fortunate enough to have David Goggins as a mentor for about a year back in 2017. One of the hardest motherfuckers on the planet. I just watched him arm wrestle a guy on Instagram earlier that was like 300-pound lineman for OU. And the dude couldn't get his hand down, and David's skinny. He's a skinny guy, but he's strong as hell. And he calls it the cookie jar, right? You write down where you won for the day and the lesson that you won for the day. When you have a bad day, you can pull the app up and you could be like, I won here this day, I won here this day. And it reminds you that you're a bad motherfucker. Because oftentimes when we get down on ourselves because the force of average is after us, we forget the cool shit that we did. We forget the victories that we had. When you're having a bad month, you can look back at the previous month, you're like, oh yeah, this is how I did that stuff. And the software is 100% free to you, and you get up to 4 points a day. And so the goal for you is within 30 days to get 100 points. So you should be able to do that in about 25 days. But some days you may not work out, some days you may forget. But the goal is for you to get 100 points in 30 days. Here's what happens in 30 days. You create a habit. It anchors a habit, something that you start to habitually do every single day. In 60 days, you create what's called an unbreakable habit, which means that you consistently do it, and you wouldn't know how to go back without doing it. But what happens, this is not going to change your life overnight, because it's a very simple process. But at the end of about 4 or 5 months, you'll look back and you'll wonder how the hell you ever functioned without being able to focus in the areas that you have. So I would challenge you guys today to be able to take the GCode.phonesites.com, the 0 to 100 challenge. All the rules are there. We give free coaching away to people that complete it. We give free swag away to people that complete it and all that stuff, because I'm at a point in my life where I'm really blessed financially. I'm blessed in relationships. I'm blessed in my mentality. I'm blessed at work. And this is just something that I spend a lot of money on to be able to be a blessing for you guys. But don't let the force of average tell you that this shit won't work for you. Don't let the force of average tell you that it can't be this easy, because I'm living proof. There's no reason I should be on this stage. There's no reason that I shouldn't be a homeless person in the street with a sign. 2-time criminal, 3-time divorce, right? Adopted. I got every excuse in the world, but I'm here because now I know what to focus on. And now you guys know what to focus on too. Thank you very much, guys. That's my time.